Do you have a little time? Can you share what's on your minds? Another point of view. They'll speak their truth. They'll make you laugh. They'll make you smile. It's the Marlows with Mike and Anthony. It's the Marlows. It's the Marlows. It's the Marlows with Mike and Anthony. It's the Marlows. It's the Marlows. It's the Marlows with Mike and Anthony.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Marlows. I'm Mike.
I'm Anthony, and we're the Marlows.
Thank you for watching and tuning in.
So you're probably wondering, why are you watching us? Who are we? Who are these two beautiful, black, gorgeous, magnificent African-American men on your TV screen?
African-Americans.
Are we friends? Are we brothers? Are we cousins? Are we lovers? So, yes, we are together. We are a couple. We've been together for a total of 12 years, and of those 12 years, 6 months of those, we have been married. We got actually married during the pandemic.
Yep.
And before you get carried away, this is not like some gay agenda or gay promotion type video or type channel or anything like that. And you'll learn. Yes, not gay enough. We're not gay enough. But throughout this web series or throughout our, episodes that will follow, you will learn a little bit more and more about us. We'll peel back the layers, the different topics, and we'll be able to dive in.
Yeah. All right, so with that said, and given our experience having been together for 12 years and considering that Valentine's Day just passed, we figured we would share a little bit with you on what we've learned about being together and how we've survived this pandemic. And again, just share those little tips and things because it's different for everybody. Like, this pandemic has really shown, you can take two people that are together, they've been together for a long time, but everything changed when we had to isolate and quarantine, and you learn even more about a person than what you did before. Like, it's just a whole new world.
Yeah, and before we even get started, I want to reassure you that this is not some lovey sappy type thing. We know Valentine's Day just passed, and for those of you that are single, you may not be up to hearing about relationship stuff. However, we feel like this groundbreaking idea that we've discovered about relationships actually does carry over to relationships with friends, family, even coworkers.
Right.
So this is not going to be some 10 ways to make your man, or anything like that.
It's not your traditional Valentine's Day love segment.
And like you were saying, this pandemic, you're together more than you normally would be.
In some cases, all the time.
Yeah, and I know for us, we discovered a lot of things with our relationship that pertains to communication and this, that, the other. And I think we had a talk before, we often have our moments, emotional moments, and a lot of times we've had those separately.
Right.
We work together to experience them, but when you're together 24/7 in the pandemic, and the whole energy of the universe is just
so
depressing,
intense.
So much anxiety, you start to see those weaknesses in each other. But that being said, we talked about communication, and a lot of the problems you have is with conflict.
Right.
And in conflict, we discovered that accountability needs to be taken on both parts.
Right. It has to be balanced.
Right. So no one is ever 100% right
or 100% wrong.
Right. You have to, if there's an issue, you have to look at it and see what part did I play in this. No matter how strong your feelings are about the situation, you always have to take a step back.
Right.
And okay, is there anything I could have done to make the situation better? Or is there anything I could have done to even be the catalyst to this argument or this fight?
And sometimes you take the situation, you step back and look at it as okay, what do I actually want to achieve here?
Right.
What is the purpose of this particular communication? Is it to relay my feelings? Am I feeling hurt? Am I disappointed at what happened? Am I just at my wit's end and there's just too much going on? I just need you to understand. Just identify what it is.
That's a good point, because that's a good point. That's a good point because I've learned, so a lot of people say I'm a Cancer, and a lot of people say we're really emotional and sensitive, whatever. So actually, I've taken that into account when I feel anything. So, instance, like you could do something and it makes me feel some type of way, and instead of me just getting upset, now I'm like, hey, Anthony, why are you feeling this type of way? What are you feeling? Are you really upset that he's doing this? Or are you really upset that he said this? Is it a reflection on something else? You have to really dive deep in, and half the time it's like, okay, actually it was nothing. Why am I even, this is stupid. Like, and even in situations when I realize, no, I am upset. Then because you know you're upset, you can identify it. That way when you approach your partner, it's like, hey, I want to talk to you. Can we talk about this? This was done. And you can even, the cool thing about that is, cool thing is that because you've already thought it out, there may be something you realize that you've done to even make you feel this way. They contributed to that. So you can, and when you approach them, you're like, hey, I want to talk about something. Like, first off, let me start off by apologizing because I realized I said this, I did this, and I probably had an attitude, or it may have made you feel this type of way, and I'm noticing a difference in your demeanor, attitude, and I want to address that. And first of all, I want to say I'm sorry, and then you can go ahead and state your grievances. But as long as you keep it at a level where, hey, we're a team, we're partners. Yeah, don't attack each other. You have to attack the issue. It always works out better. Right. Well, I'm gonna say emotions not works out better. Because emotions get involved.
Yeah. It's hard to say to keep your emotions in check in a intimate or a relationship, such as ours. But that also applies, like we were saying earlier, in other types of relationships. Like, say you need to have a very serious conversation with a parent or a coworker. Same thing applies. Identify, okay, I'm upset, but I realize I may have done A, B, C, D, and E to cause you to do these things that did upset me. So we got to level the playing field, but just because I did this or that doesn't mean your reaction or your response to what I did was appropriate. So we have two things to look at. So it's very layered.
Well, that's also too, if you think about it, okay, we're gonna put ourselves out there. Mm-hmm. I can do all of that, but if he's not ready to receive it, or not, if he's like already going through something or doing something that he hasn't opened up about yet, and then I can come at him like really, professional. Well, I say professional. I don't know how to say it. Really nice and calm and collected, and just want to talk about the facts. That doesn't mean he's going to accept it the same way. So even in this scenario, if you're the person receiving the information, you have to realize that even the way I respond, I have to take accountability for that. Yeah. So, for instance, I know when we first got together, one of the things that was a thing was my tone and how I spoke to you. I was always very matter of fact, and a lot of times my tone never changed, whether I was joking, being serious, or just being, like I said, matter of fact or casual. It was always boom, 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 boom. And it came across as bossy and, I guess, mean at times. And
very authoritative.
That's a good word. Very authoritative. And nobody wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's just bossing them around all the time. Or if they're made to feel, or someone who's making them feel like they're being bossed around all the time, which could mean that they're feeling less than, or I'm making them feel less than. And I remember initially when he told me about it, I was like, okay, well, that's just how I am. I'll either deal with it. And that's just how I look back. It's like that's the way I was raised. That's the way my family is. It's like there was no coddling. There was no any of that. It was like, this is what the facts are. Deal with it. Your emotions don't count. They aren't important. Feelings do not count. And I told him like all of that, and you were the one that told me, everyone's feelings are valid just because you don't agree with them or understand them. And I was like, that's stupid, And the thing is, like, you don't realize how much that contributes to every situation. Even though I could have all the greatest intent in the world, but if my tone or what I'm saying is making him feel like crap, it defeats the purpose. You can't get anything. You can't get anything accomplished, right? And so I told him that's how I was raised, and so you have to understand, I'm the oldest sibling. I'm the oldest grandkid, and I was always the one held responsible. And if anything went wrong with anybody, if anybody got in trouble, anybody got hurt, I was the one that got my ass kicked for it, So that is like, you take that mentality. I took that mentality, and I guess I applied it to everything in life, because I was just always wanting to make sure I was on my P's and Q's and make sure the people around me were on their P's and Q's, because I was always the one held responsible. And if anything went wrong, I was the one that paid the price. And I even explained that to him. I realized that's where it came from, and I was still like, but so that's just how I am, so you have to deal with it. But that wasn't fair. And it wasn't nice. And it was, I see it as just honestly mean.
Well, and it's twofold, because it's what I learned in that process too was the first time I got to meet your family and be around your cousins and see the way you guys talk to each other, it went from, okay, it's not a tone, it's their love language, so their family love language. They are assertive and aggressive with each other.
If we don't roast you, that means we don't like you. Like,
right.
we read each other.
Exactly. So if they're not really going in on you, it's like, okay, there's no love there. So the harsher it got, the more loving you knew it was.
That's true.
And that's one of those things where you have to learn, flipping back, between all types of relationships. If it's like our relationship, your partner, you gotta learn the dynamic that it came from. Because for me, there were very few words. My father is a very soft-spoken person, doesn't say a whole lot. My mother can say things when she gets to a certain point, but she keeps to herself. And a lot of things were communicated with just tone. I knew I was in trouble, or I knew I was about to get a new gift or a toy or something, just by the tone of someone's voice. So for me, hearing his tone, what he said didn't matter. It was about the tone. The tone said, okay, you're upset with me. You're disappointed with me. It had nothing to do with what he was actually saying. So I had to do that, reflect on myself and realize, like, okay, for this person who came from a family who have, aggressive, assertive tones, I need to pay attention to what he's saying, not just how he's saying it. But on the same note, how you meet me halfway and try to match the tone. So
I'm laughing because a lot of times we have talk. Well, we used to have arguments or whatever, and he would say I was cutting him off all the time. I was cutting him off. He's like, you keep cutting me off. I was like, I'm not cutting you off. I'm just talking. I'm engaging in conversation. And I was like, that's. What do I have to get my point? It's like, you're getting a point. I thought you were done, or you took a break. It's like, or you're saying something just really inaccurate, and I need to correct you. It's like I had no qualms about cutting him off, and I had no qualms about calling him stupid. And that's like, those are just like, I don't know how he put up with me, but I will say this, that anybody who is not willing to change for you, that means they don't love you. And I was like, anybody before him, whether it was a woman or a guy, whoever I was dealing with, they had to take me as I was, and I didn't care. And I was like, you just have to know that I love you and I care for you, or whatever. I was like, you have to look past all this. Yeah. And with him, when I realized that, or he told me that it affected him negatively, I changed, and I was like, well, dang, I must love this guy.
Love will make you.
Love is like, you really love somebody,
adjust.
Right? So anybody who says that's how I am,
then there's an element of love that's missing. There might be some extreme like and some really strong fondness of some characteristics, but true unconditional love will allow you to open yourself up and really mesh.
But there has to be a level of vulnerability. Oh, I got sidetracked. No, because I was talking about cutting you off, and because you talked about me and my family, and then you said when you met my family, you realized like we all just overtalk each other. Yeah. Like if you don't say what you need to say and get in, it's not going to be heard. Right. So that's how it works. So I was like, I'm just talking to you. What are you talking? I'm not cutting you. I'm just talking. I'm just
why aren't you saying anything?
Yeah.
I haven't been given the mic yet. I haven't been addressed. I haven't been allowed to speak. My hand is up. Like, just start talking. So you got to learn, and it's once you learn that, it's much easier. Like, it's like you can, sometimes you hear it happening. There's times he will say things and realize that was said in a tone that will upset me, and he will like acknowledge it, and then I'll be like, you know what?
Oh,
that tone would have upset me, but I know you didn't mean it that way. So it's like, I'm good. Let me take another sip of the drink. I'm fine.
So to be with Anthony Marlow, or to be with me, you have to drink. Basically, that's what he's saying.
Side note, not true.
But that, like, you have to have a level of vulnerability with each other to be able to step outside of yourself and realize the part you played, no matter what it is. So, yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about it. I mean, it's that simple. Like, if you have a conflict, please, if they're telling you, you made me feel this way, or I don't like when you do this, like, all you have to do is listen and try. Like, especially if you love that person. Like, right. It's really not that hard. It's a task, yes, because that's not maybe who you are as a person per se, but at the end of the day, it does make you a better person. Like, that's what I told him. I was like, I really realized that I think I was probably a very mean person before I was with you. And I look back on stuff and honestly, it's but it really was the way I was. Like my whole family. If you look back, we all can be kind of described as mean, and mean in the sense of like we don't care about your feelings. We don't care about any. Like we're always about what needs to take place to happen, or what needs to happen to get something accomplished or to go whatever. We're always on damage control. But the things we'll do anything for anybody at any time. Like we'll drop whatever we're doing. I've taken people in. I've given them money, and I've gotten that. I do get that genuinely from my family, and I think it's because we know that we take care of others, that we can just kind of disregard their feelings. And it's like, yeah, but I'm taking care of you, so, or I'm taking care of this, or I'm here for you for that. So we don't care about the compassionate side of it. And that's something I had to learn to embrace. And it made me a better person because now I know how to deal with people, communicate with people better. I look at things from a different perspective, not just from mine. I'm able to put myself in this person's shoes. Like, okay, if somebody's coming at me and they're mad and they're upset, they're crying, I really try hardest to like take myself out of it. Like, what are they feeling? What are they saying? Listen to the words. Like, because feelings are not fact.
Yeah, feelings are not
they're
reality.
Important, but they're not fact. Yeah, they're not reality.
But like, again, that can't be stressed enough. I feel like feelings are not reality, but they are very valid. They are very important, and they play a role in the things that you say and you do, the decisions that you make. But you can't allow yourself to make all your decisions based solely on what you feel. You need to check it and figure out, okay, my feelings are here, reality is here. How far away from, what's the distance between the two, so you can kind of bridge the gap.
All I know is that love is crazy. So
love is crazy.
If you do really love somebody or someone loves you,
it's wild.
Yeah, and it does take work, and it takes a level of vulnerability and accountability. And I think that's
the message.
Yeah.
I think that's the message. So for those of you, again, that are in relationships and you're finding it particularly,
you said it right.
Okay. Harder to be with that partner on a regular basis because you're working from home, you're schooling from home, or whatever. Just remember accountability and balance, right?
No, I said vulnerability.
Accountability. Yeah.
Well, but now you're talking about this is where people locked up in the pandemic, and that's a whole nother episode, because you have to realize these people are the whole world is going under this weirdness. So people are going through depression, anxiety. So you also have to consider whatever it is they're feeling that they may not even be sharing with you. Because sometimes I know sometimes you ask me something's wrong and I'm like, nah, I'm good, and no, I'm not good, but I don't want to give it energy, so I don't want to share it with him because it's hard to deal with. So it's in addition to the accountability and the vulnerability, there has to be a level of what? Empathy? I don't know. Or putting yourself in another person's shoes.
Right.
Did I just confuse you?
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in into this special conversation about love, relationships, accountability, and all that good stuff. Now, we don't want to forget that it is still February, and and we are celebrating Black History Month. So please stay tuned for a special presentation.
Enjoy.